Hey everyone, it's Lori from Scraps by Sissy. Welcome to another fabulous Friday. Today we're going to create this card. It's a last look at my product of the week, which are our blender pens. When I received this card as a swap, this is the original card. I got it in a swap that I participated in with my training group. Sasha Wilson is actually the creator of this card. I fell in love with this card and I knew that I wanted to create it, and I thought what better way to do it than share it with you and create it on my Fabulous Friday. So let's get started. The products that you're going to need are a piece of thick, very vanilla cardstock. It's cut at 8.5 by 5.5 and I've scored it at 4 1/4. We have a piece of the Mossy Meadow. I'm so glad to see this color back. I just love this color. It's cut at 4 1/4 by 5 3/8. A piece of that new Mary Merlot, and it's cut at 4 by 5 1/4. Another piece of the Mossy Meadow, and it's cut at 3 by 4. And a piece of regular very vanilla cut at 2 7/8 by 3 7/8. So to get started, we're going to go ahead and stamp our image, the flowers, and we're going to stamp it in the Memento ink. This stamp set is actually a hostess set. You can get it yourself if you host a qualifying party or you purchase $150 or more. And then you have a choice of several different ones, but I really love this one. So we'll go ahead and stamp our image. There. And I also want to stamp my sentiment now before I mount it on the card. The inks you're going to need are Mary Merlot, Mossy Meadow, of course the Memento to stamp the original image, and Pacific Point. As you can see, I still have the old style stamp pad on this, but that's okay. It still works. So for the sentiment, I'm actually going to stamp it in the Mossy Meadow. And it's "You're a Blessing." There. That way when we mount it on the card base, it'll already be there. So now we'll get started on coloring. Now to use these blender pens, you're basically going to take your ink pad and you're going to squish the lid, and it's going to put the ink on the lid, and you're going to use that as a palette. I'm going to want to use scrap piece of paper so that I can clean my blender pen, and you're just going to color it into the ink that you've welled up. Now it's going to be dark because we've got so much ink at the tip, but that's okay because you can just wipe some of it off and then just start coloring. And I like to go in and color some of the lines first, and then as you use up some of the ink on the pen, you can go in and finish blending, and it's a little bit lighter than when you first started. And you just want to use a very light pressure when you're coloring so that you don't damage the tip. And we'll just go in and color all the leaves. And yes, you're going to have to re-ink up the tip quite a bit as you use the ink. Come in here because I know this is going to be, oops, not as dark as I thought it was. I think we've got all the green taken care of. Get those little stems right there. And remember, you don't have to be perfect with this. It's a handmade card after all. That's why I'm not even going to attempt coloring those stems. Okay, so to clean your pen, you basically want to just color it on your paper. And as you can see, my tip is stained, but there's nothing on there. So we'll ink up to color the flowers. I think we need more than that. Now, to squeeze these newer pads, it's easier to squeeze it close to the top rather than down here at the base. Okay, now we'll color our roses. When you're coloring like this, you want to be careful not to color in the same place. Drag your pen over the same spot heavily, because you can make the cardstock pill. Even though this isn't a really wet application, it will still cause the fibers in the cardstock to break down. Okay, I think that's all the roses. Oh, I know. I don't know what these flowers are, but I wanted just a little bit of color in them. Now when I get done, I can use a diaper wipe to clean out the lids. And then I'm going to use a little bit of, trying to open this like a new one, a little bit of Pacific Point. Alright, I think that'll do it. Now we'll put this together. Go ahead and stamp. I don't know if you noticed in this, I've stamped the doily and then we ran it through the Big Shot, and we'll get that done. Now when you stamp this guy, again I'm going to use my grid paper, because we're going to stamp off a little bit so that we can use it kind of as a border. And you can see the tip here. I'm going to use that as my guide to get it as far into the corner of the cardstock as I can. Come back around to this side. Okay, now I'm going to emboss it with the pine. What is this called? It is the Pinewood Planks embossing folder. I'll be right back. Okay, when I embossed it, I wanted to make sure that the debossed side was on the top so that it didn't take away from the stamped image. So if you feel on the embossing folder, just feel where it pops up, and that's the side you want on top. Just a little tip there. So now let's put this whole thing together. Fold our card base in half. Okay. Alright, now we'll glue him down. Alright, now to get the lace down, I used a couple pieces of the tear and tape, and I just wanted to lay it down so that it kept the lace from slipping out from underneath my mat, and it just lays just like so. Doesn't that work nicely? Okay, we'll get this guy down. Add some dimensionals. Lay him down. You see how the doily just decorates the corner. And then we'll add some of our pearls, some of the little ones. That is if they don't run away. Okay, we got those down. And last but not least, we'll add a little bit of Wink of Stella. Okie dokie, there we go. Get rid of that runaway pearl. And there are the two cards. Aren't those adorable? I like casing cards, as you can tell, and this one just was stunning when I saw it. I hope you enjoyed the card too. For more information on this card, go to scrapsbysissy.com and all the measurements will be there. Thank you for stopping by, and I hope you have a fabulous Friday. Bye!